Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Davion Tortora on WakeUpCallDT.com, your one-stop sports shop, mixlr.com/WakeUpCallDT, as well as on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, and Facebook.com/LiveNowDT. We are live Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, including this morning inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. The person that you are seeing here on the picture-in-picture is Mr. Casey Brown, and Under Armour has a big old piece of my heart over the years here, so I love that he's rocking that Under Armour. But Casey Brown here with us, CBA Brothers head football coach, and obviously my alma mater. Very happy to have Casey here on the show, fresh off of winning the 2021 Section 3 Class A championship in the Dome, 61-26 over Indian River in a rematch. Casey, how are we doing?
Good morning. How are you?
Doing very well. And hey, Casey, I gotta ask you. I mean, I know you got to go with probably, whatever's going to be working with, the CBA logos and whatnot. But are you an Under Armour fan?
Sure. Yes, I do. I like the Under Armour fit, and it wears well. This sweatshirt's been around for, I don't know, maybe 10 years old. So the stuff just kind of wears well on me.
We were talking before we went on the air that you have like weird superstitions. Is there anyone that you're taking into this game coming up?
All of them. But I don't talk about them. That's another part of the whole superstition thing. You don't talk about them.
Okay. No, that's fair enough. I have a Buffalo Bills fan that she has to sit in a certain place every game. She has to wear a certain jersey. If they lose, she has to wash that jersey, wear something else. It's Gina Castelli, the former head coach for Lemoyne College for the women's basketball team. So she got some cool stuff going on with that. But Casey Brown here with us, the CBA Brothers. Casey, I was with you over the weekend here at the Dome. Bring me into this game. Your team commanded it from the beginning. In the first quarter, it was 18-0 with still time on the clock. You really just took over this game early and never let go.
We talked about it on Monday, with the first day with the kids, in terms of what we had talked about over the weekend. We came up with a strategy and a plan. We implemented that throughout the entire week. And it was very different. It was a different set of rules and expectations for these kids defensively. We went through special teams because we figured heavily, because we knew that was a third of the game that we wanted to win. And then offensively, we knew we had the pieces, but we just needed to move the ball. We needed to start quickly, not stall out, and make sure that we finished.
Yeah, and looking at what you were able to do so early in this game, what was it that you just felt like was clicking offensively that you were able to command the game as quickly as you did?
Just to see how people are going to line up. When you have some of the guys that we have offensively, who are you going to defend? How are you going to take them away? And then when you do that, and who else gets opened up? The offensive line has to control the front line to give the quarterbacks, the running backs, the time, the lanes. And, we just got to complete things. We just got to move the ball forward.
You and I talked going into this game this past Friday that you started the season 3-0, then went 0-3 going into the playoffs. You had a 500 record at 3-3. Now you have another 3-0 streak. What do you put to this? I mean, they say to not let a loss beat you twice. So you start 3-0, you lose 3 in a row, and within that, period, 51 points given up, 21-0 against West Tennessee, and then 31-26 in a close one with Fayetteville Manlius. How did this team bounce back? How did you not let a third loss become a fourth to start 3-0, start hot, and then seemingly look to cool off a little bit, and then come right into the playoffs and handle your business? And mind you, playing these playoff games on the road away from CBA.
We saw a positive in the Fayetteville Manlius game, the first Fayetteville Manlius game. And the kids saw a reaction of us that they didn't see in the Indian River and the West Tennessee game, and we saw some positivity out of that game, even though it was a loss. And we always talk about, you either win or you learn, and we did learn, and there was a positivity in terms of this is what we did well, and we were able to show them on film, and it really started to make a real positive momentum and create that positive culture.
For you, speaking here with Casey Brown, CBA Brothers head football coach here on Wake Up Call with Davion Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, against Indian River, a team that defeated you 51-30 when you were on the road at their home earlier on in the season, which started the 3-game losing streak. When you saw Indian River again, just how were you able to strike? Was it just catching it? Like you said, it was seeing how they lined up, and, you have so many talented guys that if they're going to cover one, you could shift to the other. But what was it in this game? Because the game just looked like it just flipped the other way. And the score, 26 on their side, I want to tell a lot of people that maybe weren't at the game, a lot of those points came at the end when you were playing your JV players and had taken your starters out. So, I mean, what was it about Indian River that you were just able to capitalize on the second time around after you and I spoke about how important it was for you to play that game during the season, knowing that you could see them again?
One of the things that we showed the kids early on in the week was the offensive defensive breakdown of the number of plays that Indian River had in the first game. And I think it was 98 to I think it was 52. And they were astonished by that. So the first thing we wanted to do is we wanted to keep our offense out on the field. If our offense was out on the field, their offense is not going to be on the field. And typically Indian River gets on the field, they're going to chew up the clock. They're going to get 3-4 yards. And if it's close on fourth down, coach is going to go for it. Even, third and 2, 3rd and 3, they're going to run that wedge with the fullback, or if not, then they might run a dive with the fullback, or even the superpower toss. So, I mean, they can get 3 yards easily out of 4 downs. So we wanted to make sure that, we stayed on the field, number one. And then number 2 was we wanted them to play behind the sticks. We wanted to make sure that they were playing second and third and long, and make them pass the ball and put those situations in. Because they're a very good run team. They're a very good power football team, and we just want to take that out of their hands.
They rely so heavily on the run, like you're talking about here. Speaking of Indian River, to your defense's credit, just how they were able to sustain such a positive push against this. I mean, there was never a time where your starters were in the game where Indian River could ever get comfortable running the ball. There was no big runs that were broken out against your starters, and they just tried to inch forward little and little, and you kept pushing them back. Just what you can say about your defensive front that really didn't give up much of anything this entire game when we look at your front line there.
We asked them to be aggressive, and we asked them to make we always talk about your point of attack. What are you looking at? We don't have our kids just reach out and grab, and they have specific angles and specific points that they need to make contact with their hands. So, and we adjusted that. So they had rules in terms of where they needed to insert, because we had an estimation in terms of where this point of attack was going to be and where the ball was going to end up. So, again, I talked about this earlier with some other individuals, other reporters, that, this was more of an option defense where everybody had assignments, and you had to make sure that you did your job, because if you didn't do your job, because you might not be the guy making the tackle, but you're going to be a guy that's going to take on a gap, and just do your job, and, everybody's going to, the defense is going to benefit in the end.
Looking at what your team did to halt the run the way that they did, was this their best game when it came to stopping the run all season long? Did you feel like this was their best stand? I mean, is your defense playing their best football right now from what you can see?
Nope. No, I don't believe they are. I still think these kids have the ceiling hasn't been broken yet. We still have room to go. But that's just our philosophy. We call it stacking days. Okay. And we stacked a day on Friday. We got, so that was a positive day. So on Monday, we need to be better. And that's how you improve. You just have small steps every single day where you try to find a way to improve. So our expectations haven't changed. The kids' expectations haven't changed. Okay, we won the day. Okay, we stacked that day. Now we got to go stack another day. And we got to make sure we have good days going into Friday night against Union-Endicott.
Do you ever have trouble keeping this team focused? I mean, you want to enjoy the win, you want to live in the moment, but when you turn the page, do you ever find that it's difficult to turn the page with this year's team, or are they able to say, hey, you know what? That night in the Dome, fantastic. However, we have Union-Endicott coming up.
We have a 24-hour rule, and that goes for good and bad days. So, enjoy the moment, have fun with this. Or, if out of those 3-game loss that we had, okay, reflect. But after that, we Charlie Mike this thing. We're, back on complete our mission. And, so there's a 24-hour rule. We had a gathering on Sunday being together, and we're refocused. The kids were, we went and had lunch today. And at one of the tables, every single kid had their phone out watching game film. And and just laughing and enjoying each other, being with each other. But they had game film on, and they were studying Friday night's game as well as film on Union-Endicott. So I thought, yes, they're kids. You got to make sure you're refocused, but these kids are determined.
I went to Christian Brothers Academy, so I know about the education there. The level of education that's asked of us there is very high. It's well above average, in my opinion. Do you feel that what they get in the classroom helps you as a football coach to, have, because they're asked to study, because they're asked to be focused, because they're asked to be, adults and handle their business well? I know what the educational side is at CBA. Do you feel like that educational piece, the student side of student athlete, has, because they're asked so much in that side of things, that it's maybe easier for you when it comes to, you don't really have to corral them maybe how another coach would have to corral their team, just because of the fact that if they're coming to CBA, they already know that their expectations are high?
Yeah, you come to CBA to be excellent, to be great. So I agree with you on that. But I think the IQ and the understanding of what, we can put something in front of a kid. So this past week, we put something very, very different in front of them. And they had to study it. They had to be students of the game with it. We've had other situations in some halftime situation. First game against Whitesboro. We made some really good changes, some adjustments at halftime, and the kids stuck to it. You have to do this in this Class A league. It's brutal. You some awesome coaches. I mean, the coaches in this league are amazing, and are really, really good at making adjustments and making some changes. So it's great if we have ideas, but the kids have to adapt to it, and they have. And I believe it's a direct relationship to the rigor that they're dealing with every day in the classroom at Christian Brothers Academy.
Casey Brown, CBA Brothers head football coach, here with me on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Casey, for you to have that moment in the Dome, to have it basically be a home game with the amount of CBA fans that showed up, what was that moment like for you to celebrate with the community, to hear how loud they were, and to just have that, sea of purple, so to speak?
Honestly, Dan, I didn't even know. You're so locked in. Yeah, you're just completely locked in. And I had no idea. I mean, as we were waiting in the tunnel, I saw the students coming with bags of gold towels. So I had heard that they brought gold towels. But once the game is going on, I'm locked in. The kids are locked in. The staff is locked in. I wasn't turning around. And somebody made a comment about, what a great crowd it was. And I said, really? And they're like, oh, no, it was packed. It was absolutely packed. Hearing that, and hearing some of the alumni and the former players that played for us that were in the stands just makes me so proud and so happy, because this wouldn't have happened without a lot of them. Some of them were in the stands that were there when I first started, and they were champions, under Coach Joe Casmano, and when I was there, and it was great that they were there. And then there's other guys in the stands that were there during some of our rougher times, but they were part of making this current culture and having this turn around a couple of years ago. So, and I told this group 2-3 years ago, I said, you guys are starting something different. You're not gonna see it right now, but I'm telling you right now, down the road when this team wins, it's gonna be because of you. So it's great to see those guys in the stands and hear from them, after the game.
When you told them you guys may not see it, but you're creating something different, it's going to pay dividends down the road, how did you see that? What were you seeing that made you believe that?
Culture. So the first thing you need to be able to adjust and change is the culture. You need to make sure it's a positive culture. And that was the big adjustment and change for everybody, from players to staff. to everybody that's connected to this program. And we wanted to make sure that it was positive. And because we're asking a lot out of these kids and these families, and there's a lot of time and dedication to it. And football's changed. You got to make these positive connections with these kids. And if you do, they'll do anything that you ask of them. And I just think that we're a real solid, fundamental team, and that is, ethically sound and just love our kids. And I know everybody, the coaches do love their kids, across the country that they play football in. But we just wanted to make it a really positive experience for everybody.
Speaking of positivity, Jordan Rae, we've talked about him, your quarterback. He's been here on the show on Wake Up Call. 7 touchdowns against Indian River in the 2021 Section 3 Class A championship game at the Dome. 7 touchdowns, 0 picks, 3 touchdown passes to Syair Torrence. Jason Brunson got involved. Amari Pitts got involved. And Hanford as well got involved in the receiving game. Just what you can say about Jordan Rae and what he did in this matchup as he heads in to a regional matchup down in Vestal, knowing that not only did he have 7 touchdowns, but no interceptions, tried to stay as mistake-free as possible, and he threw a touchdown pass in every single quarter in that game.
17 out of 20 attempts. I mean, that right there is just phenomenal. It's just, he was precise, and we've been working with him on some things and some concepts, and he's really taking to it. He's taken to the studying, he's taken to the filming, he's taken to his vision in terms of understanding coverages, and the offensive line gave him time to be able to do that. So he's really coming along and taking what's given. And that's the one thing that we're asking of him. We're going to recommend some concepts here and that we're seeing, make adjustments if you need to. But just take what's given to you and let these guys go. I mean, he's got a stable of guys that are just phenomenal, and just get the ball to him, get him in space and let him go.
Brunson, you and I talked about it off the air, just how Jordan Rae dropped back as the first play of the drive, and he looks like he's going right. And then here's Brunson just kind of cheating downfield on the left side, and he just fed him and let him go with it. Just what you could say about, some of these plays that you had, like that play from Jordan Rae to Jason Brunson, and just what, he was able to do as you have so many talented players, as you were mentioning, that they're keying in on Syair, they're keying in on Dan Anderson, they're keying in on Amari Pitts, and here comes a guy like Brunson.
So it kind of comes back to a theory when I was when I was coaching with Paul Minch at Fayetteville Manlius, and he's one of my mentors, in my development, and he always wanted to find the conflict guy, and who's got 2 jobs, who's doing 2 things. If we can find that individual, we're going to put him in conflict, and he can't win. So during our offensive scheme set, we're looking for that conflict guy who has 2 jobs, and let's make him, not right. So, that was just one of those things where we saw off that motion, the corner, he dropped back, we're going to dump it over to our motion guy. So we always try to have a two-way answer with a one-way read for him. And, and if that safety flies over, we have another answer for that as well. So, we just try to give the guys answer sheets. If you see this, do this, for most of the offense.
We've seen the success in the passing game. Talk about being multiple. You played up against a team that relied heavily on the run. You've been able to lean on both, including in a game like this with Tez Thomas and Jameer Hanford and what they were able to do. Just how, you really are going into this game against Union-Endicott with so many different pieces that you can utilize, so many different ways to score. And, a guy like Tez breaking it open in this game, and we've talked about Hanford and what he's been able to do. There really is no let-up on this offense.
No, there is none, but they're unselfish. That's what's so great about these kids. They cheer for each other. They're unselfish. They don't care if they get the ball. They want each other to be successful, and it's just an unselfish group of guys, and it's awesome.
Union-Endicott coming up, the Tigers being down in Vestal, New York. You'll travel down there this Friday, November 19th, for an 8 p.m. Eastern time start. going down there to Vestal, what can you tell me about Union-Endicott? They're this Section 4 champions, and they took care of business. Tom Bellino is someone that I've gotten to know over this past year, and he obviously had a lot of success this year. He had a very interesting road to the championship like you did. They played the championship game against a team that had bested them earlier on in the year, and convincingly, and they were able to respond and take care of business. You had that with Indian River, and you were able to do that. So there are some parallels there on teams that have gotten better. What do you know about, as far as what you could tell me about Tom Bellino and Union-Endicott?
Well, from the film study that I got, they're very athletic. They're spread offense. They're going to spread things out defensively. They're very aggressive with their blitzes and their line stunts. So they're going to give us pressure, on the sides and up the middle. But again, the third ingredient, special teams. They won it on special teams last week, and onside kicking and block punts. And so, that third, everybody forgets about that little special team there in the kicking game. But you got to make sure at this level, everybody's good. Everybody's great. Everybody has won. And you don't get this opportunity without it. So we got to make sure that we're perfect or near perfect with that special teams units. And, it's going to be a heck of a battle, I think.
Before I let you go, here with Casey Brown, CBA Brothers head football coach on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. What are some of the things in a 61-26 victory where, like I said, a lot of their points came at the end of the game with them running the ball against the JV team that you had allowed to go in there when you took your starters out? Overall, when you look back at that game against Indian River, where are some of those pieces that you really want to key in on this week? What are you looking at? You had a big time victory. Your starters did what they had to do. You had a lot of successes. What do you want to work on from what you saw on film? What did you kind of, not nitpick, but, any good coach knows that even in a victory, even a convincing victory, that there's things that you can see that could be a little bit better. What are some of those things?
If I gave you those things, then you and Kevin know about those little things. So we are going to clean things up, but I'm not going to specify exactly. So touche on that. But no, we're gonna clean things up. We're gonna get our guys a long season. So we're gonna get our legs back underneath us. We're gonna make sure our recovery is properly done. It's a big aspect of what we're gonna do this week. We're gonna start getting used to the weather. The weather's now gonna turn. It's gonna be 26 degrees on Friday when we play. So the game's gonna change. We were nice and warm inside at the Carrier Dome, and we appreciate their hospitality. But now it's going to get cold. It's going to get really, really cold, and that's just some of the fun. It started when we started the season. It was 98 degrees, and now it's 26. So you're doing something right when you're flipping seasons.
Yeah, and to have this game in Vestal, it's down in the southern tier, so it's familiar territory for Tom Bellino and Union-Endicott. You're used to in this postseason playing on the road, playing away from CBA. So, like you said, it's going to be colder, but your team has already shown that being away from home hasn't shaken them. What does that mean to you? The fact that this team has been able to not have home field advantage, because it's not like in Vestal it's going to be any different. You'll be playing on the road. So, just what you could say about your team's resolve being away from familiar territory.
Another day to be together. They get to get tied up into a bus and going together and having another team meal together. So they just love being together and listen to music together. And it's just, again, all these life memories that they're going to have forever.
I got to give a shout out. You talked about special teams, and I have to give a shout out where shout out is due here when we look back on special teams to Gage, his 58-yard fumble return on that kick, that onside kick attempt that he grabbed by midfield and ran it back. Just what you could say about that play and his wherewithal and what he was able to do once he picked it up. And I love the fact that there was a flag for a potential illegal block in the back. And I'm like, there was no blocker. He was by himself the whole time. So I was like, I know you can't, but I can look at it and go, what are you talking about blocking? He was the front line. So what do you think about Gage's play on special teams?
Oh, it's tremendous. He hit that. It bounced right up into his hands. one of the other players we talked to today is like, hey, took it right out of my hands. And then he just went. He just ran. He run. I'm so proud of him in the adversity that Gage has gone through this season, and his senior. And he's such a great young man. And I'm so happy for him to have that opportunity. And it took the most of it.
Syair Torrence has been all over the field for you. 3 touchdowns in this game. He got an offer. His first offer that he got collegiately was from Syracuse. So we got to see him wherever he ends up. We at least got to see him in the dome make some terrific plays. The evolution of Syair, in your opinion, as his coach, how have you seen him evolve?
Confidence. I've seen the confidence evolve. I've seen the leadership evolve. I let Bruce Williams handle the skill level and things like that. But from a day-to-day basis, just talking with him and just seeing the confidence in the classroom, seeing the confidence in the field, and then from there, you just see the leadership. And you hear one of the interviews, and that MVP he said went to the offensive line, it went to his quarterback, it went to the other receivers, it went to the running backs, and he's unselfish. And this young man's a sophomore in high school, and to have that understanding and that vision is unreal, like we've never seen before. So. He's humble. His parents have done an amazing job raising him. He's a great young man, and it's going to be fun to watch him grow up in the next couple of years.
James Bell, we talked about him before. When you play in high school, there's a lot of two-way players. We've seen that he can be involved offensively, but I heard his name multiple times back to back on what he was able to do to stop the run. Just what you can say about how he has grown up here and how, not just in the receiving game, but on the defensive side of the ball, he's been able to make some good reads and obviously did some good things against Indian River.
Yeah, he'll do whatever he needs to do. He's just a tough young man, and he prepared himself. And again, we started the season out asking a lot out of him as a receiver, and then there were some opportunities as in the defensive backfield. Okay, what do you need me to do, Coach? I'll do it. And that's great about him. He's just a grinder. He just gets after it and gets it done.
Davion Irby was out there with your team, and I looked over at my girlfriend, and I kind of told her the story a little bit there, and just as he was out there on the field. I know that the last time we talked, were getting emotional over the phone. It's hard for me not to, because just a few months after everything happened to Davion, him and I were talking, and he was, just a kid getting ready to run out onto the field. So to have him there and to have him be a part of this through everything he's gone through and the tragedy that him and his family have faced, to see him there, and like you said, you play for him, just what that meant to you, to have him be a part of this championship team and to have him there with his brothers. Because to me, I don't know if there's words that can adequately capture the moment that it is to have him there with you. He's just an incredible kid, and I'm so happy that he was on the field with you.
And first of all, I want to thank Section 3 and Paul Seeley for making some special accommodations, making sure that he was able to get into the dome and with parking, and just those accommodations were amazing. Paul Seeley is one of the best human beings I know, so I publicly want to just thank him. But for him to be a part of this and part of the team, and he knows he's a part of the team. We've said this from day one, and he was so happy. He was so happy for the guys, and the guys were so happy that he was there. And he actually, after the game, he stayed at one of the guys' houses with some of the guys, so he was able to celebrate and be with them afterwards. So I think that was really special. But he's a special kid in our heart. Our heart goes out to him. It's very, very sad and very, very tragic. But it just reminds us how fragile life is, and how fragile, in an instant, anything can be taken away. And I think it's a real call and a real message for these guys to really embrace what you have and just be blessed with it.
Do you still see his personality shine through?
Yes and no. Davion is a character, and but yes, we have some quiet conversations and things like that. But yes, his personality is still there. And, we try to, sometimes we have to bring it out in him a little bit. But yeah, it's still there.
In closing here with Casey Brown, final point here, CBA Brothers head football coach, who's getting ready this Friday, November 19th at 8 p.m. Eastern time in Vestal, New York, to take on the Section 4 Class A champions, and that being Union-Endicott, the Tigers. Brothers versus Tigers this Friday night lights, and it's going to be cool. So pack your layers and bring your hand warmers and all the stuff that you need. Casey, I'm going to give you the floor. What do you want to say to the community as you get set for Friday? What should they know about the Brothers, and why should they come to the game?
The Brothers really appreciate everything that the community has done, staying loyal and with us. And I do appreciate that. Loyalty is a huge factor and characteristic that I really appreciate. But, support these guys and come on out on Friday. Come on down to Vestal. It's going to be a nice hour and a half drive. But come and cheer them on. Warm the place up with your cheers and your celebrations and enjoy what these guys are doing.
And coming from Casey Brown. Casey, as always, I appreciate you. I thank you for your time, and congratulations again on all your successes. You and the guys definitely deserve it, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you very much for having me on. Thanks.